So it's Tuesday here in England, day 02 for you guys, day 2 for your yoga trial week or your introductory week to yoga. I'm very excited to have you back. And at that point, I just want to say, so we started our practice yesterday. You made your first move through a yoga practice. Maybe you've come back to practice. But really important is that every time, even if you have a very regular practice, you step onto your mat, you notice that your body feels different. You're a different person on a different day. You have another breath, another rhythm. And we really want to tune into that today and just start to notice that as soon as we connect to the present moment, we are very present in our practice and we can hopefully enjoy the moves and the yoga postures we're going to do as well. So let's begin. To begin our second practice, we come into the posture that we finished off our practice with yesterday, coming into tabletop. So as you arrive on your mat today, place your palms underneath your shoulders, your knees underneath your hips, and really make connection to your mat. So lightly push the fingers down and all 10 toes, ground them down towards the earth. We start moving through cat and cow, a posture that we almost have in every yoga class to warm up the spine. So for cat and cow, start to drop the belly and lift your chest and your gaze forward and slightly up. So your hips are looking up towards the ceiling and the back of your head is slightly moving towards them. Roll your shoulders away from your ears and allow your belly to hang heavy here. So you really feel that nice arching through the spine. Take an in-breath here, exhale. And then for our cat posture, tuck your tailbone under and start to roll through the spine. So vertebra by vertebra around your spine and look towards your navel. Lift your upper back towards the ceiling and lightly push your hands, your feet down to the mat. Again, take an in-breath here, exhale. In this rounded cat version, and then let's connect that to our breath. So we start to flow. Inhale, drop your belly, lift your chest and your gaze for cow pose. Look slightly forward. On the exhale, tuck your tailbone under, round your spine, look towards your navel and lift the upper back. Let's take 3 more rounds. Inhale, arch your spine. Exhale, round your back. 2 more rounds. Keep a soft bend in your elbows. Keep your shoulders over the wrists. Inhale. And exhale for cat pose. 1 more final round. Inhale. Drop the belly, lift chest and gaze. And exhale, round your back. Come into cat pose. Very nice. From here, come back into a neutral spine. And then relax one wrist. So shake your hand off. Shake your hand out and then take the other palm and relax your fingers, shake your wrist out and then connect your palms again to the earth. Moving into our second posture for today, a very important one in yoga, downward facing dog, or also called Ardha Mukha Svanasana. That's why we don't mention the Sanskrit name that often because it's a very long name. So for this one, hands are one hand width further forward. You spread your free fingers. Look at your palms and notice that your index finger and your thumb are creating an L shape. And for Adho Mukha, your downward facing dog, you're trying to ground those 2 fingers firmly down to the mat. Now let's curl the toes under. A soft bend in your elbows, so the bony bits of your elbows are pointing out. And then before we move into it, we're going to start to warm up the body slightly by dropping the hips back to the heels. So notice how your arms are lengthening now. And then press into the toes to lift the body again. Rock the body slightly forward, shoulders over the wrists. And then again, moving the body back. See if you can even press your little toe down to the mat. 1 more round. Come all the way forward. And then next time you bring your hips back toward your heels, you take a moment to pause. You might have to move your hands slightly further into the body so you can keep a bend in your elbows. Relax your head so your upper arms are framing the head, and then really press into the balls of your feet and start to hover the knees off the ground. So remember yesterday, but we're in a slightly different angle, in a slightly different position. Try to move your hips even further away from the heels and lift them slightly up. Relax the head here, so make sure the neck is loose, and push your palms away from the body. Ground into your index finger, your thumb. And then slowly drop your knees back to the ground. Relax the body for a moment, and then let's do the same movement again. So press into the balls of your feet, relax the head so you're looking to the knees, and then hover the knees off the ground, building strength through the thighs and the core. Move your navel into your spine so you're supporting the low back, and look toward your feet or towards the knees so the head is relaxed. Hips are pressing back, arms are pushing forward. And then let's start to move the hips up. Always slowly, 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 and into downward facing dog. And there you are, downward facing dog. Beautiful work. So downward facing dog, as you might notice, is a upside down V shape that we create with the body. And this is your first time maybe that you've come into downward facing dog, and if you're back here for another of those many times, just remember a few things with your foundation. Arms and the back are as long as possible. So you're extending the upper body. Relax the head. As you're lifted now, look towards your knees or maybe even the upper thighs. So your back, your neck are elongated. Lift your hips up towards the ceiling and see if you can almost bring your sitting bones parallel to it, parallel to the ceiling. And if you look at your knees, if they are moving in towards one another, separate them so the knees are in line with the heels. Imagine you have a block between the knees, so you have to keep them apart. The heels don't have to be down. It's more beneficial to keep a soft bend in the knees so you can lift the hips further. Maybe you've already taken a moment to come back down. It's quite tricky sometimes to stay here. If it's your first time, again, your body needs to get used to it. Take one more breath. And then slowly lower the knees to the ground. Keep your knees where they are. Bring your big toes together. And then take your arms behind you for a moment in Balasana, Child's Pose. Rest the forehead down to the earth. And allow your body to sink and relax down for a moment. Again, you can make fists with your hands to support your head. If that's a bit easier, a bit more comfortable on the body. Come back to your breathing. So really try to breathe deep down into the lower abdomen again, the area of the belly as you inhale. As you exhale, feel the belly relaxing, the shoulders softening. Take one more full round, full cycle of breath here. And to make sure we don't get too relaxed here, we're going to come back into downward facing dog one more time for today's practice. So lift yourselves back into tabletop. Move your palms one hand width further forward. Index finger, thumb are pressing down as your L shape, your firm connection. Curl your toes under. We start the same way again by bringing the hips to the heels, relax the head, and then start to peel your knees off the mat. Lift your hips up. And then once you feel your upper back is fully extended, your arms as well, maybe you try to lower the heels a little bit further down to the mat. But again, hips over knees, maybe you could say, or over heels. So you rather have the hips higher and the knees more bent. Now let's move through downward facing dog to start opening up the hamstrings. Bend your left knee to your chest and straighten the right leg more. With your next inhale, bend the right knee, lower the left heel further down to the ground. Keep your gaze back towards your feet, your knees, maybe your upper thighs. And carry on moving a few more times through Adho Mukha, your downward facing dog here. And every time you straighten one leg, try to exhale so the breath is supporting your posture. Feel the connection of all 10 fingers. The movement of your hamstrings, maybe they feel that they slowly start to open up here. And then come to a moment of stillness in your downward facing dog again. Lift your hips back and up. Lightly push the mat away from you. And then bend your knees generously. Maybe your heels are lifting for that. And then walk your palms towards your feet. So slowly bring your hands towards the back of your mat. And now you're in your Uttanasana. You're standing forward bend. Relax the head completely. Allow your arms to hang heavy. And this might look up here for you. So maybe the body starts here. You try to bend your knees more so the upper body can relax over the thighs. And then gradually, practice after practice, you will notice your hands make more of a connection to the floor. This doesn't have to be the end goal. Move your knees again apart from one another. So you're feeling your outer thighs engaging. Relax the head. Take a circle through the head to the neck. Move it one way. And then the other way around. And then let's move back into downward facing dog from here. So one hand at a time. Walk your palms forward. Try to keep your connection with your feet, your heels as much as you can. And then place your hands away from the feet. Come into downward facing dog. And now if you're practicing downward facing dog in the future by yourself, to see if you have the, I don't want to say right distance, but a really good distance between your hands, your feet. We're now going to come into plank. So you lift your heels and you roll the body forward into your plank, a full body plank. And if you now come to the top of your mat and you have your shoulders over the wrists, that's exactly the distance you want to have in downward facing dog. Maybe it's tricky to hold yourself up here, then please rest your knees down for a moment. Otherwise, you're staying in plank. Take a moment to breathe, to lengthen the crown forward. Move the heels towards the back of your mat. Arms are strong. And then let's come back into downward facing dog. To do that, bend your knees. Again, move your hips back to your heels. And then like a wave, lift your hips all the way up towards the ceiling. And then we're going to start moving in and out a few more times. So rolling forward straight away into your plank, full body plank. Bend your knees, move your hips to your heels and lift all the way up. Allow the head to just flow and move with it. One more round, inhale. Coming forward, shoulders over the wrists, bend your knees, lift your hips back and up, downward facing dog. Lower your knees down to the ground, untuck your toes. For hero's pose, come to sit down on your heels. Gently place the palms onto your laps, or maybe you're connecting the palms to your sternum, to your heart, in Anjali Mudra, prayer position. And this certainly isn't a gesture or any religious gesture we do in yoga. It's a gesture of gratitude towards yourself, maybe anyone else that has been practicing with you or around you today. And a moment to just find that inner connection again by closing the eyes. A moment to appreciate your beautiful body, your beautiful practice you've done today. And I look forward to see you for day 3 tomorrow. Rest well. Have a good night. Namaste.